Skills are honed over time. They take determination, a relentless amount of focus, and the perseverance of and a showcase of endurance that goes beyond what an average person is willing to do. But for what we have to show you next, could not only encourage you to put forth your very own valid efforts towards completing goals, but you just finished some of those tasks that you've been putting off from completing. Hello again, and welcome to another episode of Forever Green. Today, we are about to take you on your very own marathon of 13 of the world's most skilled women. Everything tried to get in their way, but nothing was able to stop them. Number 13. The Luo Women of East Africa. Using a sense of balance that is amazing and unlike anything anyone could do without years and years of practice, we bring to your attention to the Luo Women of East Africa. Luo women may carry loads of up to 70% of their body weight balanced on top of their heads. Women of other tribes carry similar heavy loads, but use different devices that some may strap across their head, around their forehead, and the load to secure it while it is carried. One of the only downfalls that researchers have found would be an almost permanent groove on their heads from all of the loads that they carry. So far, there have been no other reports or research to show that any other health-related issues come from such a labor-intensive task. Number 12. Marilu Henner. Coming in at number 12 on the list, Marilu Henner. Marilu Henner sure doesn't, and not just because it was her most notable role, but rather because she has a condition known as hyperthymia, or the ability to recall every tiny, stupid detail from her life going back decades. Every detail. Marilu is only one of 25 confirmed cases of hyperthymia, which allows her to pinpoint the smallest details of her life on nearly any given day. She told publishing companies that rifling through her memory is similar to viewing little videos moving simultaneously. When somebody gives me a date or a year or something, I see all these little movie montages, basically on a time continuum, and I'm scrolling through them and flashing through them. Number 11. Jennifer Feig. Reaching a beach in Trinidad, she became the first woman on record to swim across the Atlantic Ocean. A dream she'd had since the early 1960s when a stormy transatlantic flight got her thinking she could don a life vest and swim the rest of the way if needed. Jennifer Feig became the first woman to swim across the Atlantic Ocean. AP Photo/J. Pat Carter. The 56-year-old left the Cape Verde Islands off Africa's western coast on January 12th, battling waves up to 30 feet and strong winds. David Hingdom, a friend of Feig, who kept in touch with her via satellite phone, said she had planned to swim to the Bahamas. A distance of 2,100 miles, but inclement weather forced her to veer 1,000 miles off course to Trinidad, where she arrived on Thursday. Feig plans to continue her odyssey, swimming from Trinidad to the British Virgin Islands, where she expected to arrive in late February. The crew won't compute the total distance Feig swam until after she completes the journey, Higdon said. Number 10. Roberta Gibbs. Roberta Gibbs is a three-time winner of the Boston Marathon Women's Division in the pre-sanctioned era, 1966, 1967, and 1968. She was the first woman ever to run and complete the Boston Marathon in 1966, at a time when it was believed that women were not physically able to run marathon distances and were not allowed to compete in events longer than 1.5 miles. Her feat disproved widely held beliefs about women and was a pivotal event in triggering the second wave of the women's movement and in changing the consciousness about women's capabilities. Her sculpture reflects her love of sports and celebrates the human body in motion. Her skill was faced with negativity throughout her journey, yet she did not let that hold her back. In fact, she used it as fuel to compete and complete the races and prove the powerful skill sets that she built within herself. Number 9. Chainara Medikulova. Medikulova was allowed to take the position for the archery challenge. She had known of a historical and challenging pose that had almost been left to be forgotten, but not this brave young lady. On September 5th, successfully repeated the trick historians say ancient Scythian warriors used to intimidate their enemies, along with fellow archer Ada Akhmatova. The pose would leave the opponent in a blanket of fear of the skill that is needed to perform such a feat. The games include a variety of challenges, such as eagle hunting, horseback wrestling, and setting people on fire. Looks like the Olympics are going to need to step up their game to compete with this gracious show of skill. A crowd including hundreds of foreign tourists immediately burst into thunderous applause when she took the pose. In a report she says, "I feel so much pride for my country here. The World Nomad Games allow us to show Kyrgyzstan to the whole world. Enthuse Medikulova." Number 7. Harriet Thompson. Skill and determination did not skip a beat with our number 7. Harriet Thompson, a 2-time cancer survivor, was a regular at the San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon, running with team and training for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. She started running the marathon in San Diego in 1999 and ran the race every year through 2015. Except for 2003, when she was undergoing treatment for cancer. She raised more than $115,000 for cancer research through her efforts. In 2015, at 92 years and 93 days, she finished the marathon in 7 hours, 24 minutes, and 36 seconds, breaking the record for the oldest woman to run a marathon previously held by Gladys Burrell, who at 92 years and 19 days ran 9 minutes and 53 seconds at the Honolulu Marathon in 2010. Thompson first took up marathoning at age 76. Before she was a runner, Thompson was a concert pianist who performed at Carnegie Hall. She continued to play throughout her life, including in recent years for the residents of her retirement community, the Cypress of Charlotte. Before we move on, here's a quick challenge for you. If you can leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and turn on the notifications in less than 5 seconds, you will have 10 years of amazing luck. Hurry up and try it. It actually works. Number 6. Minerva. Moving into number 6 on the list, we find that on April 29, 1895, 2 years after Eugene Sandow began his breakout American tour at the Trocadero Theater in Chicago, when the spectacle of strength exhibition performances was at its pinnacle in the United States. Spectators packed the Bijou Theater in Hoboken, New Jersey for the headlining World's Strongest Woman. The woman, known only as Minerva, lifted and juggled heavy dumbbells and weights with ease. She had issued challenges to the world's female celebrity strength athletes, but none had answered. Having no one against whom to prove her strength, her promoter set up the exhibition at the Bijou. At the end of her act, Minerva asked for the assistance of 18 men from the audience, weighing an average of 150 pounds each. The men filed onto the stage and were ushered to a broad platform with chains leading up toward the ceiling. Minerva ascended to a raised platform above the men. Minerva would attempt to hoist the entire platform with the combined weight of the men, 3,000 pounds altogether, and suspend them above the floor supported only by her body. Number 5. Christine Bannon Rodriguez. It is hard to imagine that a 13-year-old Christine Bannon Rodriguez was a shy, quiet, and a bit of an introvert living in the Buttonwoods section of Warwick when she discovered a karate school near her home that would change the rest of her life. Christine was only 13 years old when she first bowed in. At that time, the teenager never realized that she would one day reign as one of the superstars in the world of martial arts. She proved her skill as a fighter time and time again and was unstoppable. She became so hooked that 40 years later, she has become a 9-time world karate champion, which is in the entire world. In 1991, Christine astounded the martial arts world by becoming a Triple Crown winner at the Waco World Championships in England. She has appeared as a stunt double in movies and television shows and has her SAG card to prove it. She became a model, a cover girl on countless magazines, the subject of many interviews in both the print and news media. She has professional endorsements and has traveled all over the world to compete, to do exhibitions, to judge professional matches, to appear in movies, and make special appearances as a goodwill ambassador for the sport that has given her so much. Number 4. Liv Arnerson. There are generally 3 major polar achievements one can have: going to the North Pole, going to the South Pole, and crossing the Greenland ice cap. Fridtjof Nansen managed the first crossing of the Greenland ice sheet in 1888, and since then, various groups repeated the journey. However, for a long time, no unsupported women's group achieved this difficult journey. Spurred on by this success, Liv turned her attention to the South Pole. There was skepticism in her abilities from potential sponsors, who doubted she could do the journey pulling her provisions by sled, even though she had actually done this in Greenland. However, with persistence, she was able to get the trip organized and in 1994 was dropped off at Hercules Inlet in Chile, facing the coast of Antarctica. With nothing but her leg muscles on a pair of skis pulling along a sled of the provision, she set off into the desolate white interior. 50 punishing days and 745 miles later, she became the first woman to reach the South Pole alone and unaided. At this time, we want to share a fun fact with you. Most people think of a marathon as the ideal monumental show of strength, skill, determination, and endurance. When you think of a marathon, what may come to mind would be some distance running, biking, and swimming. Some include bouts of brute strength as well. But what may come as a surprise is that there is a marathon featuring horses as the competitors. The man vs. horse marathon is a sport where runners and horse riders compete against each other. The course is about 22 miles, 35 kilometers long. The event has been held annually in June since 1980. It all began when Gordon Green, the local landlord, overheard a conversation between 2 men in his local pub in Wales. In the conversation, a man suggested that over a significant distance across the country, a man was equal to any horse. After the heated discussion, Green decided to organize the first ever man vs. horse event. Since then, it has become an annual fixture in Nuad Arms in Lawwerton, Wales. Number 3. Emily Harrington. Emily Harrington is the first woman to free climb the Golden Gate route up El Capitan, a 3,000-foot-high monolith in Yosemite National Park, in under 24 hours, without submitting him to the evidently impossible challenge to out-wrestle her. Her head bloodied and bandaged, and her hands caked with chalk, Emily Harrington pulled herself off the last slip of El Capitan and into the clear, still night above Yosemite National Park. 21 hours, 13 minutes, and 51 seconds after she began her ascent. In her 4th attempt last Wednesday night, Ms. Harrington became the 4th person and the first woman to scale El Capitan via the Golden Gate route in under 24 hours by free climbing it. Pulling herself upward with her hands and feet and using ropes and other gear only as a safety net. El Capitan, known as El Cap, is a 3,000-foot-high granite edifice that draws thousands of climbers to Yosemite each year. Climbers typically take around 4 to 6 days to reach the top, using a variety of routes. Only a few elite climbers, Ms. Harrington now among them, have done it in less than a day. Number 2. Simone Biles. Simone Biles, in full, Simone Arion Biles, an American gymnast who is considered one of the sport's greatest athletes. At the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro, she became the first female U.S. gymnast to win 4 gold medals at a single game. And she was the first gymnast to win 3 consecutive world all-around titles, 2013 to 2015. Biles grew up in Spring, Texas, in the Houston metropolitan area. After she and her sister Adria were adopted by their grandparents, Ronald and Nellie Biles. Simone became interested in gymnastics at age 6 during a daycare field trip to Bannon's Gymnastics. And she remained there for 11 years under the direction of her coach, Amy Borman. Biles won a bar of gold in the floor exercise and a bronze in the vault at the Women's Junior Olympic National Championships in 2010, before breaking into the elite level of competition in 2011. Less than 2 years later, she dominated the sport. What set Biles apart was her consistency, her exuberant personality, and the high degree of difficulty she incorporated into her routines in all 4 events: vault, uneven bars, balance beam, and floor exercise. Number 1. Tamae Watanabe. Tamae Watanabe began mountain climbing at the age of 28. In 1977, she climbed Mount McKinley. After her retirement, she returned to her hometown, and in May 2002, she became the then oldest woman to climb Mount Everest. 10 years later, in May 2012, she broke her own record when she, now at the age of 73, again scaled Mount Everest. However, climbing a major peak such as Mount Everest is not just something someone gets used to doing. For Tamae, she had to work up to the accomplishment, yet the climbing never became work for her. Mount Everest, the world's tallest peak at just over 29,000 feet, draws more than 500 climbers each spring to attempt the summit. Huey and colleagues analyzed the success and death rates for all first climbers who had a permit to summit Everest from 2006 to 2019 alone. Oh, did we hit that time already? Looks like that's all the time we have for this episode of Forever Green. Be sure to subscribe to our channel for more, and if you truly enjoyed this video, you should really check out our video on 10 most fearless animals in the world. See you next time.